bombs. Caleb, well, he has not. Completing just 18% of his passes 10 yards down the field. Not 20 yards down the field, bro. Not 30 yards down the field. Just 10 yards. It's like 1/6 of your deepest throw. It's worse in the league by a good margin. Bryce Young lost his job, unfortunately. I still believe in him, but still. Any panic?
Goff is a weird one on that.
Yeah, I know.
I thought you were just showing young quarterbacks at first.
No, I know.
But
Goff is kind of just out of the blue there.
That's a weird one. All right, what's your question?
Any panic?
No. So listen, I like to self-scout. Think about things I could do better or worse. Like Coach talks about it. Coach taught me this after one of my big poker losses.
Yeah.
I called Coach because I needed money. And he was like, "Well, you should do an after-action report, like things you did well, things you didn't." So I try to do that at times when it seems like a prediction may have gone awry. Like, where did I go
That's good. This is what gets you to the next level.
Thank you. I appreciate that. And I realized, you know what, Nick? You need to have some accountability. All offseason, I was saying Caleb is walking into this amazing situation for a #1 pick. It wasn't the Bears' pick. It was a lot of people saying that. And then 2 weeks in, I came on TV and I'm like, he needs more help. And it seemed like a very quick turnabout. And I think for the audience, it could be disorienting or whatever. And so here's where I've come down. I think I clearly overestimated the talent of the Bears' offensive line and overestimated how quickly Caleb would be excellent. Clearly, I think there's no doubt about that. Sure. But neither of those things make me want to panic because I do believe Caleb, and I know Coach said yesterday the bar's on the ground, that's fine, showed substantial improvement from week 1 to week 2. I also think that when I picked them to go to the Super Bowl, I thought through 2 weeks they'd be 1-1. I didn't think they'd go to Houston and win. What I did think was they would cook right now on their schedule. And I don't know if we can pull the schedule up. If not, I can just tell you. Colts, Rams, Panthers, Jags, Washington, Arizona, New England. Those teams are combined 3-11. Those teams, to my eye, don't have a good, much less great defense amongst them.
Threw the Prince right under the bus.
And, well, no, I said defense. And the Jags, no. The Jags are a disaster.
My God.
The Jags are a disaster. And so I think that Caleb is going to improve once again week over week.
Sure.
I think that the Bears' offense will steady itself, that they will have spent all week trying to figure out how to block stunts and things of that nature, and they'll be fine. So, no, I'm not panicked. I still think he's excellent and going to be excellent. He has not played excellent at all. There's no denying that.
I'm not saying this to troll or anything.
Okay.
The only reason to panic is if you pick them to reach the Super Bowl. I mean, I'm just saying, like, I agree with you. Long term, you shouldn't be panicking. It's early. But I don't see any reason to think this team is going to make the Super Bowl. And the defense is legit. Caleb's just hurting him, going through the rookie growing pains. I will say this, though, Nick, and I kind of alluded to it a little bit yesterday, because I thought he did show improvement. He was much better on schedule, and he was, when he did miss, though, a lot of open passes. I mean, downfield, he really was missing.
And DJ got frustrated.
Yeah, so we'll see what that is. But I said it yesterday, a lot of these rookies have come in recently and played better than Caleb. I'm sorry. Jaden Daniels is playing better now. Joe Burrow, Justin Herbert, Baker Mayfield, C.J. Stroud, obviously. Brock Purdy, the Mr. Irrelevant. Look at his first 2 games. First 2 games of Brock Purdy versus the first 2 games of Caleb Williams. Now, that's when Brock was a rookie. It was light years ahead.
Yeah, it was week 10.
Yeah, but he's still a rookie who was Mr. Irrelevant.
I got that.
I mean, he wasn't the #1 pick. He didn't light college on fire like Caleb does. And we've seen a lot of quarterbacks that were phenomenal in college not be great in the pros. And we've seen a lot of quarterbacks who were average or pretty good in college become great pros. So I'm just saying, I'm trying to have patience, but he's been remarkably bad, which is a little something you just look at.
Well, I disagree. Well, I agree with Nick that he set his expectations too high for a rookie quarterback. And I think that happens all the time, where there's this expectation that they're just going to walk in from college and be able to light up the NFL, and everybody puts the gold jacket on them. That's very common with where we are in today's football. And I don't love making excuses for him, like the offensive line is terrible. Okay, that's not necessarily the case. What I don't like the false starts. I don't like the delay games. I don't like the illegal procedure, those pre-snap penalties. That's a quarterback-related issue. I don't like the sacks and losing the game with the interceptions, having to make something happen. But in fairness to him, and I know you showed your 2-game comparison with Brock Purdy, let me show you another 2-game comparison as to why you should have patience with young quarterbacks.
Yeah.
So here's Peyton Manning's. This is his very first start. So 56 versus 48, 1-3, 0-0. Look at the passer rating. And let's go to his second career start.
Another hat trick of interceptions. I thought about doing this, but these guys were going to yell
There's 6 of them, but
I'm glad you're doing it,
But the
Coach.
completion percentage is very similar. Peyton threw more interceptions, 6 through 2 games. The passer rating is identical in game 2. So these guys need time. It is a radically different game. You see so many more things defensively. You have such a bigger responsibility offensively. So give him some time. Don't make excuses about his offensive line.
I didn't make excuses.
And then
well, I did a little bit yesterday.
There should be some growth. Not everybody pops at the same time. Some guys pop quicker and then fade. Some guys, it takes more time.
That was, though, a much different NFL in terms of passing. Like, Peyton threw a ton.
Yeah, it was harder.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Like, guys threw far more interceptions back then than they do today. Quarterbacks could get hit much more than they can today. Receivers could get hit much more. So that's why you saw so many interceptions. So I thought about that, and I'm sure Nick did too, with Peyton Manning, who was bad or threw a lot of interceptions as a rookie. But it was such a different time.
But you did also have a lot more time with young players in training camp. And, I mean, the rules with the CBA are so different with young guys now versus we used to have them all the time.
Next Peyton Manning? Right
Well,
there.
let's not.
CMC, and now Debo is out with a calf. Told Shanahan he was injured on this play right before the half in Minnesota. He's expected to miss a, quote, couple of weeks. Brew, we'll start with you here. Do you think Purdy is in trouble without 2 of his Avengers?
He's not in trouble, but it's certainly a good challenge. I mean, it's a challenge. You take Debo's been their #1 receiver this year. Now, I think Ayuk has the last 2 years, but right now, Debo's been leading them. He's got more receptions
Training
than Kittle.
camp matters.
And right, I agree. But take the #1 receiver and an all-pro running back off any team, and they're going to feel it. All right,
They're like
Josh
the only
Allen
team with an all-pro running back, so it's hard.
No, but take away. We saw the Philly last night with without AJ Brown, and it was different.
Yeah.
Take Saquon off of them too, and see how different they look. All right, Josh Allen doesn't have Stephon Diggs. He's averaging 185 yards a game.
Yeah, he's playing okay.
I'm just but he's averaging 185 passing yards a game. If Brock Purdy were doing what Josh Allen was doing outside of the running, we'd be saying, oh, he's just managing the game.
Well, so that's what Josh Allen is doing.
Well, he's running.
Right, but you said outside of the
running. But that's okay.
Yeah.
So Josh Allen hasn't been the Superman. I thought he was Superman first game. My point is that you mentioned the Rams, and I know they've lost some offensive linemen, but Matthew Stafford lost Puka Nacua and eventually Cooper Kupp. And he struck. They scored 10 points last week.
Right, but if he had lost those guys and still had George Kittle and Brandon Ayuk, I think we'd think he's going to be okay.
George Kittle and Brandon Ayuk are really good. Other teams have guys just as good as them and better.
Yeah.
I mean, those two aren't like. Purdy's got a challenge in front of him, but my point is take talent off any team at those 2 positions, and the quarterback's going to have a challenge. Right. I think he'll be fine, but it's a good challenge for him.
But the great thing that they have is Jordan Mason's averaging 5.1 yards a carry. So they lost CMC, which, again, that's a problem. But when the guy that comes in is averaging 5.1 yards a carry, that's a great situation. So let's say the running game is fine. And then with Brandon Ayuk, really these last 2 games have been like his preseason. And so he's got, I think, 71 yards receiving, which is 100 less than he had through the first 2 games last year. So if he now pops this game and he's been almost like disappeared the first 2. So now if he takes Deebo Samuel's role in moving forward until Deebo gets back, so that's a replacement piece that he has, and you still have a great tight end. So he should be fine. And I agree, if you take talent off of any team, it's not going to be as good. But the running game is excellent, and you've got an outstanding receiver to replace your outstanding receiver.
Yeah. So
and Juwan Jennings has played pretty well.
So I mean, here, listen, Purdy's only played 40 snaps in entire career, thrown 40 passes in his whole career with neither of these guys on the field. So he will match that in the next week and a half. You know what I mean? So so it will be new.